Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of C&C Productions. And today we are going to be doing another episode of the Ark Survival Evolved Dossier readings. And this time we're going to be taking a look at the 11 creatures from the Scorched Earth DLC. And yes, so all 11 of the dossiers, not including the Manticore because there is no text on that. There are no text on any of the boss dossiers, so I won't be going through them. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and jump right into this, starting with the Deathworm. Common name, Deathworm. Species, Korkoi arachis. Time unknown, diet carnivorous, temperament extremely territorial. The Titanic Korkoi arachis is commonly called a deathworm by the locals, but only half of this name is accurate. Korkoi is, in fact, not a worm at all. Worms are decomposers that gain nutrients from dead or decaying materials, while Korkoi is a carnivore. Korkoi spends most of its time burrowed beneath the desert sands, exploding to the surface only to devour its prey in a single bite. The only chance of surviving a Korkoi attack is if its initial lunge misses and it's momentarily immobile afterwards. Theoretically, that could provide a brief opportunity to escape its territory. I wouldn't count on such luck, though. Korkoi spends most of its life underground, burrowing through sand and stone. Tribes only encounter them when they encroach territory, at which point it unburrows and releases carnage. Fortunately, it's stationary while unburrowed, so escaping it is fairly straightforward. Attempting to tame Korkoi will almost certainly result in failure and a very painful death. Any survivors in this desert should avoid Korkoi at all cost. Next up is the Desert Moth. Common name, Desert Moth. Species, Lymantria sporarmis. Time Holocene, diet herbivore, temperament evasive. Like its smaller relatives, Lymantria sporarmis survives by draining plants and vegetables of their nutrients. Given the desolate nature of the region, that makes its options rather limited, but fortunately its relationship with the desert plants is symbiotic. In addition to pollinating them, the spores it releases help nourish the harsh desert plants. The desert moth is occasionally used as a one-man flying mount, but its ability to produce silk and spores is often considered more valuable due to its slow flight speed. Its silk can be weaved into heat-dispersing cloth, and its spores gathered for fertilizer or poison. Its saving grace as a mount is its ability to release spores in flight, allowing it to act as a primitive bomber during sieges. When attacked, the slow-moving desert moth immediately takes to the air and flies almost straight up while releasing spores. While the spores are nutritious to most plants, they are highly poisonous to most other organisms. Next up is the Jerboa. Species, Rhinopola amplexus. Time unknown, diet herbivore, temperament is cowardly. Scientifically speaking, the Rhinopola amplexus, or Jerboa, is an adorable little fuzzball, and I just want to hug it forever. Unfortunately, being harmless and lovable is inadequate as a defense mechanism in this wasteland, and that means Rhinopola is at the bottom of the food chain. It's an easy meal for predators and survivors alike, the latter of whom also value its hide. Rhinopola generally fits into the clade Glibers, but it seems to share traits with both rodents and lagomorphs. While it looks similar to some species of kangaroo mice at first glance, it is clearly unrelated. In addition to being the cutest little companion in the desert, hours of close study and or cuddling have taught me that the Jerboa has an instinctive understanding of this land's weather patterns. When the weather is about to change, the Jerboa will suddenly start behaving differently, so taming it does have practical uses that can justify its perch upon one's shoulder. Not that I need justification, but I'll take whatever excuse I can get. Next up is the Jugbug, or Scudiphora mortemeci. Time Holocene diet herbivore, temperament passive. Scudiphora puteus is a fast flying insect that comes in two varieties, visually distinct only in the red or green markings on its exoskeleton. Biologically and behaviorally, they are practically the same. The only real difference between the two is the resource that they gather in the expandable sacs on their back. Scudiphoria with green markings gather water, and Scudiphoria with red markings gather oil. This unique ability makes Scudiphoria the target for both the desert's natural predators and human survivors. Finding a green jugbug at the right time could prove to be life-saving, and survivors can use the oil produced by red jugbugs for a wide variety of purposes. Like many of the insects on the island, Scudiphora cannot be tamed. Beyond the resources obtained while hunting it, survivors will find no use for it. Next is the Mantis. Species, Empusa discipulus. Time Holocene, diet carnivore, temperament aggressive. The existence of a creature such as Empusa discipulus is both fascinating and frightening. Not only is it the only recorded insect to have developed an opposable digit, allowing it to grip objects and use tools, but it possesses a level of intelligence that is unrivaled among non-human species. I have even found clear patterns in the sounds Empusa makes when communicating with its own kind, as though it's actually using some kind of dialect. I would love to study these interactions in depth, but observing Empusa up close is extremely dangerous. Its size, intelligence, and ability to pounce on its prey from a great distance mean that one could be quickly swarmed and killed upon detection. Caution is recommended. Though a dangerous task, successfully taming Empusa can prove highly beneficial. Its unique claws allow it to wield melee weapons like spears or pikes in battle, and use tools while harvesting resources. This makes it deadly as a mount or foot soldier, and highly efficient as a gatherer. Next up is the Morellatops. Species, Morellatops dromedarius. Diet, herbivore, temperament, passive. Morellatops dromedarius seems to be a relative of both the Morellodon and Ceratops genuses, which in itself is rather strange. On top of that, it has developed the ability to store water in its humps like a camel. This makes it a critical part of the desert's food chain, as it provides predators with both food and hydration. Morellatops has limited options when it comes to self-defense, and I would not recommend taking one into combat. However, so long as survivors don't forget to let Morellatops stop by a well every now and then, they will find the creature an invaluable companion. When survivors discovered how to tap into the water in Morellatops' humps without harming it, the docile creature became the desert's essential pack animal. Not only can it carry a good amount of weight, but it can provide survivors with a large, mobile water source that can mean the difference between life and death on any given journey. Next is the Phoenix. Species unknown. Time unknown. Diet, flame eater. Temperament is elusive. Among the most mysterious of all flying creatures, much of what is known about the Phoenix exists in legends which have been told through generations. These myths have often changed through the passing of time, but one constant is the belief that fire represents cleansing and renewal. The Phoenix embodies this process through its everlasting cycle of death and renewal. Extreme heat waves in the desert seem to initiate the rise of the Phoenix, while the end of this so-called superheat precipitates the creature's reversion into ashes. While the Phoenix seems ambivalent to most wildlife, if provoked, its ferocity is evident in its ability to set targets aflame with a single bite. Attempting to pacify a Phoenix is quite literally playing with fire. The Phoenix must be continually set ablaze in order to be tamed. I've seen many turn into dust and ash in the attempt. After it has been pacified, the Phoenix will regain its vitality when it is aflame. Although its compact size prevents the Phoenix from being ridden, its aggressive and flaming has proved to be invaluable in battle. Plus, it can quickly roast up tasty cooked meat, and refine raw ores at any time, as a living furnace. Next up is the Rock Elemental. Species Colossus petrum. Time unknown. Diet is minerals. Temperament is extremely territorial. Colossus petrum is like no creature I have ever encountered. There was no biological or historical precedent for it. Its nearest relatives exist only in legendary mythical statues that could come to life, like the Golem of Prague. That makes it all the more dangerous. What survivor could possibly expect a seemingly benign rock formation to suddenly spring to life and attack them? Fortunately, Colossus petrum's massive size makes it quite slow, so I would advise most survivors to flee immediately if encountering it in the wild. Colossus petrum survives by slowly absorbing nearby minerals while in a dormant state, which consequently means that if its body contains a wealth of metal ingots, if undisturbed, it can maintain this hibernation ad infinitum, but it will viciously attack anyone who encroaches upon its territory. A solitary creature, Colossus petrum lives alone and will not even protect its own kind. If somehow tamed, Colossus petrum could prove to be an invaluable asset, particularly in a siege. Only armor-piercing rounds or explosives can harm it at all, and it will handily smash through stone structures. Next is the Thorny Dragon. Species Moloch sagittarius. Time Holocene, diet herbivore, temperament aggressive. Those survivors have come to call these gargantuan reptiles spiny lizards or thorny dragons. I believe that Moloch sagittarius' closest known relative is the Australian thorny devil, or Moloch horridus. Besides the obvious gap in size, most of the differences between Moloch sagittarius and its smaller relative lie in its thorns. Instead of being permanent parts of its skin, Moloch sagittarius' thorns are more like spines or quills that can be removed and regrown. In fact, it is even capable of shooting these spines from its tail as a method of self-defense. An examination of these projectiles has revealed that they are coated in a lethal poison. Despite its dangerous spines, Moloch sagittarius has proven an excellent mount for indirect combat. Its ranged attacks can wreak havoc in a pitched battle, particularly if other creatures are taking the enemy's attention. Just be sure to use a proper saddle, strap yourself in securely, and use extreme caution while mounting or dismounting. Next is the Vulture, species Torgos arcam. Diet carnivore, temperament is docile. Torgos arcam appears to be a relative of Torgos tracheliotos and Torgos negevensis, commonly called lappet-faced vultures, which are native to the sands of Sahara, Sahel, and Negev deserts. Like them, it is a carrion bird that feeds on the decaying corpses of other animals, and is only aggressive when defending its meal. As such, survivors should take note when they see groups of Torgos arcams circling above. It means that a wounded creature or bloody battle may be somewhere below. Despite its impressive wingspan, Torgos arcam is not suitable as a pack animal, and is surprisingly light. Some survivors have even been known to keep a tame Torgos arcam perched on their shoulder. Interestingly, Torgos arcam is capable of storing raw meat in a separate stomach, where it will decay at an accelerated rate. Once spoiled, Torgos arcam will regurgitate the meat for proper consumption. The strong stomach survivor could, in theory, utilize this feature to speedily spoil meat for recipes. Finally is the Wyvern, species name Draconis vipera. Time unknown, diet carnivore, temperament aggressive. Like its relative from the island, the Draconis vipera that inhabit the aptly named Dragon Trenches are creatures straight out of a European legend. Aside from its size, the main difference between the Draconis vipera and its larger cousin is that the former possesses only 2 legs like an avian. Otherwise, it is quite similar, with armored scales, leathery wings, and the ability to spew projectiles from a pair of glands inside its mouth. The nature of these projectiles is tied directly to the color of the Draconis' scales. Some spit fire, while others unleash poisonous acid, or even bursts of bioelectricity. I can imagine no flying mount more deadly than Draconis vipera. Its strength, toughness, and ability to rain death upon one's enemies makes it unmatched in combat. The few creatures that it cannot immediately overpower, it can outmaneuver. In fact, it is puzzlingly suited for a life of servitude, despite being such a vicious predator. The ridges on its back form a natural saddle, to the point where many riders prefer to ride Draconis bareback. Curious indeed. Well, that was the species dossiers for Ark Survival Evolved Scorched Earth. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this series. If you are, then leave a like, and go ahead and check out my channel for more videos like these. If you enjoyed, then leave a like, and until next time, I will see you guys later.